This is Direct Democracy by Roscoe Flax, Will Neubauer, and Jack Moore. So what is direct democracy? Unlike a representative democracy, where there's elected officials that make the decision, a direct democracy gives the power straight to the people. So the definition of direct democracy is a form of democracy ruled by the people where they make decisions on policies and laws instead of a group of elected representatives. Now, what are the tools for direct democracy? The first is referendum. A referendum is when the government asks the public to decide on a major issue. An example of this was in 2016 for the Brexit vote in the UK, where citizens chose to leave the European Union. It was a direct decision by the people. Next is an initiative. An initiative is when citizens propose a new law or amendment. For example, California's Proposition 13 started with a petition and ended with major changes to property tax laws, and this was all driven by the public. Finally, a recall election. The recall election allows voters to remove an elected official before their term is over. This happened in 2003 when California voters used this tool to replace their governor with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
All right, moving on. Direct democracy is when regular people vote directly on laws and decisions instead of relying on politicians to do it for them. This idea goes way back to ancient Athens, where citizens would meet in big gatherings and vote on stuff like war or taxes. Only a small group of people could vote, but it was one of the most first real examples of people kind of having that power. And today we see direct democracy in places like California, where we get to vote on propositions, which is basically yes or no questions about new laws. One big example is Prop 64 back in 2016, where voters chose to legalize marijuana. That decision didn't come from the lawmakers, it came straight from the people. Another great example is Switzerland. They're known for using direct democracy a lot. Swiss citizens regularly vote in referendums, which is like national votes on important issues. And in 2009, they even voted to ban the construction of minarets, which caused a lot of global debate, but still it shows how powerful this system can be. There are some ups and downs to it. The good part is that the people have a real say in what happens. It's more direct and more involved. But on the downside, not everyone has the time to study the issues and get the ins and outs of the law or what is to become legalized. Sometimes decisions can be made based on emotions or misinformation. So yeah, direct democracy gives people the power, but it also depends a lot on how informed and involved the public is.
All right, so now we'll be moving on to the pros and cons of direct democracy. So starting with the advantages, the first is the increased citizen participation. So direct democracy gives people a hands-on role in shaping policies, which can then lead to more engaged and informed public. So when voters are directly involved, they also feel a stronger connection to government decisions. The next is greater government accountability. So since the people are making the decisions themselves, the government is more directly answerable to public opinion, and there's less of a chance for politicians to act in their own interests without consequences. Finally is legitimacy. When decisions come straight from the people, they tend to carry more weight, and there's a sense of fairness and transparency because the outcomes reflect more popular support. But now moving on to the disadvantages. So a big one is the potential for poorly informed decisions, because not all voters have the time or experience to fully understand complex policy issues, which can then lead to flawed or harmful choices. And then there's the risk of tyranny of the majority. So this means that if the majority always wins, then the rights of the minorities might be overlooked or even violated, which is not good for a working democracy. Next is money and special interests. So wealthy groups could also pour resources into swaying public opinion through ads or campaigns, which could also distort the democratic process. And then finally is logistical challenges. So running a direct democracy in a large country is very difficult, and it requires frequent voting and educational efforts, which can turn out to be very expensive and time-consuming. So overall, there's many advantages and disadvantages of direct democracy. Thank you.